Welcome back to Reddit Echoes, where everyday stories are told with the most genuine voice, full of drama, surprises, and sometimes a little extra spice. In life, we all have encountered at least once those annoying neighbors or situations that make us feel frustrated, irritated sometimes, to the point of wanting to lose it. Today, I'm going to share with you a story about such a neighbor, a woman that everyone in the neighborhood dreaded mentioning. But instead of just enduring it, the storyteller's family chose a very unique and creative way to deal with her, making that neighbor admit defeat and withdraw, losing her voice in the neighborhood altogether. This story isn't just about revenge. It's a lesson in patience, cleverness, and the power of family unity. So join me as we dive in and discover what happened. Story 1. Grenade Training, a terrifying military accident. My name is John, a new soldier who just completed basic training at Fort Benning. That day, we were taken to the grenade-throwing range, one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the entire course. Everything seemed simple at first, but no one was prepared for what was about to happen. The training was divided into two parts, throwing dummy grenades first, then live grenades. My comrades and I stood lined up behind a concrete wall, watching through a small window as each person stepped up to receive a live grenade. Every person had to shout "live load" loudly to warn others. When it was my best friend Mike's turn, he ran up to get the grenade and approached the instructor. That scene haunts me to this day. The instructor told Mike to pull the pin pose for the camera, then throw the grenade. But as Mike threw it, he dropped the grenade. Both he and everyone else stood in stunned silence. Mike froze, not knowing what to do next, his face pale. In an instant, the instructor rushed over, pulled Mike behind the protective wall, forced him to crouch down, and immediately the grenade exploded. I still clearly remember the deafening explosion, thick smoke filling the area. Mike lay motionless on the ground, eyes wide open, unable to believe what just happened. Before anyone could react, the instructor grabbed Mike by the neck, choking him in furious anger. Another instructor and the team leader rushed over to intervene. Luckily, Mike only suffered bruising on his neck. The atmosphere was chaotic and tense. Everyone was shocked. I thought that in the military, where tough warriors are trained, moments of fear and surprise like this could still happen. Later, my father told me a similar story from his military days. He said their range had a sloped trench, so that if a grenade was dropped, it would roll safely away. But some soldiers froze from stress, unable to pull the pin, and instructors had to act fast to prevent accidents. I couldn't stop thinking, if a soldier can panic when first handling grenades, how would ordinary civilians react if they ever encountered such deadly weapons? This story is not just a lesson about preparation and serious military training, but also a warning about the lurking dangers in every moment. After the terrifying explosion, the training ground became heavy with silence. I saw sweat dripping down my comrades' foreheads. Their eyes seemed to say, "How lucky we are." Mike, my best friend, still lay there stunned but unharmed physically. Yet his eyes showed deep panic mixed with extreme confusion. Once everyone settled down, instructors began checking on us, asking if anyone showed abnormal signs. But clearly those moments left a deep mark on all of us. Facing near death made hearts race wildly and minds reel. I remember Mike didn't say much. He just lowered his head, occasionally looking around with empty eyes. I approached, put my hand on his shoulder and asked, "You okay?" Mike silently nodded without saying more. I knew he was trying to control his fear, but the incident had deeply wounded him. A few days later, we were called for a safety meeting. The lead instructor emphasized the seriousness of handling grenades and that thorough preparation and quick reflexes are crucial for survival. They also spoke about psychological struggles many new soldiers face, moments of fear and freezing. I vividly recall the instructor's words, "Don't underestimate your fear, but learn to control it." A moment's hesitation can mean life or death. Afterwards, Mike was sent to see military psychologists to help overcome his trauma. I was encouraged to join group discussions so I wouldn't feel alone. Over the weeks, Mike gradually recovered, regained confidence, and focused better during training. For me, the event was a huge shock, making me realize the military is not just about toughness, but also a battle with one's inner self. I spent many nights reflecting, wondering if I was strong enough to endure and face the invisible pressures of the Army. From that, I learned an important lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. I also realized the importance of empathy among comrades. When Mike faced his crisis, our support kept him from falling into despair. That day on the training ground, watching Mike practice again with a grenade in hand, I knew life doesn't grant many second chances. Every moment must be treasured and acted upon with clarity. Lessons from the story. Thorough preparation and strict training are key to minimizing accidents in the military. Soldiers' psychological health requires constant attention and support. Courage means overcoming fear, not the absence of it. Unity and empathy among comrades help overcome the harshest challenges. Accidents aren't the end, but an opportunity to grow and improve. If you're new or watching military videos, never underestimate any training. Remember, life and death can hinge on the smallest correct or wrong action. I'll continue sharing more challenging yet valuable military stories in upcoming videos. Story 2. My cousin lost her husband in the war and an unexpected call from President Obama. I'm a member of Ashley's family, my cousin, and this story is about a painful time our family went through, but also some truly special moments that I'll never forget. Ashley had just recently married, and her husband was a soldier serving in Afghanistan. We all knew the dangers of his job, but when the tragic news came, no one was emotionally prepared to accept it. Ashley's husband was killed in an attack. His body was returned in a sealed coffin, and no one got to see him one last time. The whole family was heartbroken, trying to comfort each other, but no one really had words. At the funeral, the family stayed together, trying to fulfill their duties to their loved one. I clearly remember Ashley sitting quietly, her eyes red, but without shedding a single tear. I thought it was her strength, or maybe the numbness of pain. After the funeral, Ashley gradually felt overwhelmed by countless calls, messages, condolences from friends, colleagues, and even strangers. Everyone sympathized, but it also exhausted her, making her want peace and quiet to focus on caring for her son. One day, Ashley told the family she wanted some alone time to enjoy a glass of wine, relax in her room, and not be disturbed. Just about 30 minutes later, the phone rang. My mother answered and overheard a conversation that left everyone stunned. It was President Barack Obama calling Ashley. I still remember that moment. No one could believe their ears. Why would the U.S. president call an ordinary woman like Ashley? But the call really happened. President Obama didn't offer empty condolences. He admitted he couldn't imagine the pain Ashley was going through losing her husband in war. He made it clear that her husband's sacrifice was a great gift to the country, and the entire American people were grateful. But what touched Ashley the most was when he gave her the phone number of someone from his support team, a person who would directly help ensure that she and her son receive every benefit and legal right their family deserved. He said, "Though nothing can make up for this loss, you must be fully and fairly supported. If you encounter any difficulties, call this number, and I will make sure things are handled promptly." Our family listened silently, overwhelmed with a mix of sorrow and profound comfort. Ashley told me that just hearing encouragement from the head of the country helped her feel less alone in her hardest moments. Though she never had to call that number, having it was an invaluable source of emotional support. This story reminds me that behind the grandeur of power, there are real people who genuinely care about the losses and grief of their fellow citizens. It's also a reminder to all of us that even in the darkest times, there are lights of compassion and sharing that persist. Story 3. The Annoying Neighbor and My Family's Unique Revenge. Introduction. Hello everyone, today I want to share a story about an annoying neighbor, someone we've all probably encountered at least once in our lives. This neighbor wasn't just irritating and selfish, but drove my family crazy. But the real story is how my family got back at her, and I promise it's something you'll never forget. Introducing the neighbor. Her name is Karen, in her early 40s, a very special kind of person. Anyone who saw her immediately noticed her huge, flashy jewelry, strong perfume 70s-style big hair, and a voice like she was shouting at the whole world. Karen would stroll around the neighborhood from dawn till late, snooping around and stirring trouble with other neighbors. The most annoying thing was that she hated the noise of kids, hated other people's plants and flowers, even though none of that had anything to do with her. Karen's unbearable actions. I clearly remember one time when my kids were playing loudly outside, laughing and shouting. Karen came out yelling loudly, demanding the kids be quiet because she was meditating. Whatever that means, I don't get it. Another day, she walked into our yard holding a hammer and smashed several flower pots my family had carefully tended all summer. When we asked, she said she was planning to replace our flowers with plants she thought looked better, which made all of us furious. But we still tried to hold our patience and avoid big conflicts. Turning point, my family's clever revenge. Then one day, when Karen and her husband went on a 2-week vacation, my family decided this was the perfect chance to teach her a lesson. But don't get me wrong, this wasn't just simple payback, but a carefully calculated, slightly darkly humorous revenge, one Karen would never forget. We planned to renovate her garden by replacing all the plants with extremely special ones, poison oak and poison ivy plants that cause severe itching and nasty rashes to anyone who touches them. Details of the revenge. We secretly dug up several bushes of these plants from a nearby park and carefully planted them in Karen's garden. Everyone in the family was excited, from dad to the kids, eagerly waiting to see Karen's reaction when she came home. A few days later, Karen returned, and her tantrum was unbelievable. Karen's reaction. She screamed, smashed things, stomped around the new plants, yelling like a child who lost her favorite toy. Her shouting echoed through the neighborhood, and neighbors gathered to watch the comedy show. My dad laughed loudly and said, "This is the wildest performance I've ever seen." Karen was itching all over, had to smear ointment everywhere, and her face turned purple from allergic reaction. Since then, she's stayed far away from our house. Aftermath and lesson. My family also recovered some flower pots and plants Karen had stolen from neighbors and returned them, keeping a few souvenirs like 2 rose bushes near our gate and a porcelain cat, a decorative item Karen never managed to find again. This story isn't just about revenge, it's a reminder to protect your living space smartly, subtly, and artistically. Sometimes patience and calmness don't mean ignoring things, but choosing the wisest way to respond. Ending. If you've had your own experiences with an annoying neighbor or a clever revenge story, don't hesitate to share below so everyone can learn. Thanks for listening to today's story. See you in the next one. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on more exciting videos on the channel. And if you've ever had experiences with difficult neighbors or any other interesting dramatic stories, please share them down in the comments so everyone can read, discuss, and learn together. I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories because sometimes real-life experiences are the greatest source of inspiration for all of us. Life isn't always easy, but with optimism and unity, we can overcome any challenge. See you again in the next stories on your channel name. Wishing you all happiness, good health, and joy.